Brendan. Just wanted to check in real quick and see how your talk went yesterday with your boss. Let me know when you get a chance.
Hey, Amy. I just wanted to reply. It went great with my boss yesterday, and she was really receptive to my idea, really wants me to run with it, which I thought was great. And honestly, I'm really glad that you and I talked about it before I went to see it with her. Um, she's supposed to send me a list of people I can pull in for the project. That's the next step.
Great news, Brendan. Sounds like the talk went really well. Did I hear you right at the end, though? It kind of sounds like you're not very confident she'll get you the information you need to keep things rolling. Let me know.
Hey, Amy. Yeah, you heard me right, actually. My boss has a tendency to let stuff fall through the cracks, especially when they're not, her priority. So I have a feeling that she won't get back to me, and I don't really want to be a pest, but I don't want to lose momentum on this either. Do you have any ideas for me? Anything you have would be really helpful.
Hey, Brendan, I do have an idea. And first of all, I want to remind you something we talked about a while back, and that is part of a leader's mindset is to be able to look for opportunities in what you may be seeing as a problem. So in this particular situation where you're seeing the problem is maybe keeping your boss accountable to her deliverables, what I might suggest to you is to, first of all, send her an email and thank her for hearing you out, and also thank her for trusting you to run with this. And in that email, what I might suggest is that you ask her if it's okay that you report into her each week with a very brief outline of what's happening with the project. And that way, if there's any deliverables she's not coming through with, that'll show up in that report each week. But I also might add that I think you should attach a timeline with some benchmarks for success on the timeline. That way she can see if she's holding you up with her deliverables too. So that'll kind of cover you for that, I think, throughout this whole project. Plus, the opportunity in this, Brendan, is that you really show up like a leader yourself, in that you're showing her that you're taking initiative, you're going to keep her appraised of what's happening, and you don't need any hand-holding along the way. So that's my suggestion. And if you have a different idea, let me know. You feel free to bounce it off of me. But I think you'd be good to go to run with that.
First of all, thanks for seeing me. I just need to get this off my chest because I believe it's been inhibiting my work. Let's say I know we're taking the two-man team to Houston. We're pitching the same project, and we brought Carly on board. But she came to me last week and then suggested, not even suggested, just said to me that she should be the lead in the presentation simply because last time when I pitched it, I left out the numbers for October and November. Like, I know about those critical errors were brought up to me, and that's why we're moving forward. And then she had the audacity to say that I don't have a coherent speech to pitch things because I use too many filler words, or I pause too much, and she somehow just wants to take this project away from me. So we're supposed to be a two-person team, but I feel like she's pushing me out.
Wow, Ben, it really seems like you're feeling kind of frightened that this project is going to be taken away from you, and that your colleagues aren't believing that you know what to do with it and how to make it successful.
Hey, Brendan, great job. You did a great job reflecting back what you heard from Ben, beneath the words, beyond just the words. And you heard beyond his frustration, you heard beyond his anger at the situation, and you heard he was frightened. And you reflected that back. And I think you were spot on with that. Now, one pointer about choice of words. Some people might throw up their defenses when they hear words like frightened or afraid, because they perceive it as a weakness, right? Or they're thinking you're perceiving them to be weak. It's just an interpretation of words. So sometimes that frightened and afraid can be kind of hotspot words that make people defensive instead of leaning into the conversation. And so I might suggest you use words like worried. I almost always use worried because it suggests something temporary that, and not necessarily a commentary on what might be seen as a weakness. So with that said, now remember, we opened this scenario up in our written description by saying that Ben sometimes has trouble seeing the consequences of his mistake and how it impacts his peers relative to how much they trust his ability. So I am wondering, I'm going to put a challenge out to you. When what reflected back to him was great, and I mean absolutely, more than adequate, and you're fine with what you did. But my job is to bump your skill level up a little bit more in this area. And so I am wondering if there is something you could reflect back to him, something you're hearing a little bit deeper, even than just the immediate situation, but maybe in a broader context that Ben might be worried or fearful of, that would open the door to a broader discussion relative to Ben's inability sometimes to see how he impacts people with some of the mistakes he has. Because if you'll notice, he's kind of, like, I know we addressed it, it's all done with, it's all over with, but obviously not, right? Obviously his peers are still a bit concerned about his abilities and his ability to not make mistakes and not gloss over things. So I'm going to put the challenge back to you to see it, to take this one step further, to open the door to perhaps a broader conversation with your reflective listening and listening beneath the words. So it's up to you whether you want to accept the challenge or not, but I think you can do it. So I'm going to bounce this back to you and give it one more shot to see if you can get it into that broader conversation.
Well, first, Ben, thanks for sharing that with me. It sounds to me like you are afraid your peers have lost trust in you.
Great job, Brendan. You nailed it. And I just want to point out here that what you reflected back in your listening was something much deeper, and I think that you would open up a much broader conversation with Ben. And you did it in 13 words. So you really economized your words and you said something much more powerful. Quick reminder, be mindful when you use that word afraid. You used it again, but otherwise everything just great. Great job.